This week's different like no other. I'll be taking you to the Hundreds archive every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Each episode, we'll be pulling timeless classics out of the vault to tell you the stories behind each of them, as well as talk to the designers and collaborators behind them. While you watch, you'll also be able to chat with other viewers and ask us questions. There's a chat box right next to the Hundreds TV. So if you have any questions or you want to tune in, just hit us. I'll answer your questions if you have any. You can also hit the shopping cart tab and purchase the one-of-one pieces that we're going to be going over today. So this is basically like a live shopping channel. So everything that you see that's displayed here is available right now as part of the Hundreds Greatest Hits collection. Now, before we get into the vault, I just wanted to let you know there's still a couple pieces from previous episodes, specifically episodes 2 and episodes 4. Now, this is one of my favorites from the earlier episodes. This is the Cha-Ching tee. This is still available. It's a nice mint. Celadon, if you want to be specific. And then from last episode, the Garfield and Friends tee, which we went over with Bobby, has the limited edition tag, Garfield and Friends. And one cool thing that Bobby really said he really loved about designing this t-shirt is that we were able to fully integrate the Hundreds creative with the creative assets of Garfield, which is kind of like a very rare move to do in licensing deals. So yeah, these two pieces are still for sale on Greatest Hits collection. So again, all of this product is available in real time. You can go ahead and shop the collection while I talk about it. And if you have any questions, definitely make sure to hit me in the chat. Today's special guest is our head of special projects and collaborations, as well as our headwear designer, David Rivera. David is kind of like the lifeblood of the Hundreds. He's done everything from photography to, like I said, designing full collections and kind of spearheading all of the collab-based products we have at the Hundreds. So we're very excited to talk to him today. Okay, to get started with what we have just dropped for episode 5. We're gonna start with the Blackberry T-Shirt. Okay, so when I was digging through the Hundreds archive, as soon as I saw this T-shirt, I was immediately brought back to the romances of the 2000s and the 2010s. So before iPhones, man, Blackberries were the jam. Cool, so, yo, what's the artist name again?
Roy Lichtenstein.
Okay, so Roy Lichtenstein. This is a graphic based off of Roy Lichtenstein, who was a well-known pop artist. A well-known pop artist who mainly came up in the 60s. He was doing really sort of simple comic book style designs, and actually one of his pieces, Oh All Right, sold for $46 million in like 1997. So Bobby wanted to reinterpret a Roy Lichtenstein piece, and yeah, so at the time, BlackBerry was the shit. You had BBM messaging. If you had like a crush on a girl, you could assign the light. So like when this girl hit you, it would be like yellow every time she hit you, so she would know you would have a text. It was like the ultimate Wall Street phone, the ultimate cultural piece of the 2000s. It allowed everybody to text and communicate way faster. So this is a really great throwback. And this one also features our 2009 to 13 tag, so that classic Hundreds vintage. Available now, the Greatest Hits collection. You can shop all of this stuff in real time that we're going over. Awesome, so we can move on to the Shades tee. Now this is my favorite piece from this episode. What's really cool about this is, for starters, that is the 2005-06 Hundreds bubble tag. Very, very, very rare. What's also cool about this t-shirt is it's called the Shades t-shirt. Bobby actually referenced his favorite Supreme t-shirt, which is an old Supreme tee with a Richard Pryor print. He really liked the layout of the screen print. And so this is Max Headroom, who was a character from the 90s that was kind of just like a cultural phenomenon. He was like a satirical, like 80s new wave character that appeared in a lot of culturally relevant things, including Back to the Future 2, which brings me to a reminder that we are going to be dropping our Back to the Future to collab in the following weeks. So definitely stay in tune with all of our social channels to check that stuff out. We're very, very excited to bring back our part 2, Back to the Hundreds part 2. So definitely stay on the lookout of that. And so, yeah, this is an extremely rare 100 shirt, extremely rare aesthetic design. And then on the back, of course, we have the classic mixed media hit, which again was kind of just like mixed media crew was kind of just like the community surrounding the hundreds. I'm actually just getting word that this piece has sold. So again, one cool element about the show is this is a live shopping channel. So every single piece that we're going over is currently available for sale right now. The shade tee is gone. So again, at 4 p.m. every week on Tuesday, we drop a new collection, a new batch of products, and they're all one of one. So make sure you don't sleep on this stuff. Classic TH, classic the hundreds. Okay, so I want to bring out our special guest, David Rivera, head of special projects, head of collabs, headwear designer, my friend. What's up, Dave?
What up, man?
How are you, man? Woo, 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 yay! Okay, so David, how long have you been at the hundreds, man?
Man, been going on 9 years.
9 years, okay.
Yeah.
So what, that's 2011?
Yeah, it started towards the end of 2011.
Okay, so how, for starters, how did you get into streetwear in general, and how did you meet Ben and Bobby?
Oh man, I got into streetwear. I think it was before what it was called streetwear. I honestly say I was into the whole East Coast urban wear. I was wearing a lot of rocker when I was a little kid. I was like in middle school, elementary, wearing like Anichi, rocker, kind of more on just the hip hop music space.
Were you getting the rocker stuff at like Macy's back in the day?
Yeah.
Right? Because I remember when like they had like rocker and G Unit clothing?
Yeah, I'd never really rocked the G Unit. The shoes I liked a lot, the Reeboks, because it was like that was the all black ones with the blue flag on the side.
For sure.
It actually reminds me of the wildfire flag now I think about it. I got into that, and then I was just slowly evolving into product that I was like finding. LRG was one of the first. I remember Stussy was one of the first, and then I discovered the hundreds.
Okay.
When I was like a freshman in high school.
So where were some of the places that, like before Fairfax is like fully developed, where were some of the places that people were copping gear at? Like
for me, it was the mall. It was the mall. For me, it was the mall. Okay. It was mainly just like bigger stores that you'll find like here and there, like mom and pop shops that would sell like some brands you've never seen. I remember seeing Green Apple Tree for the first time, and I was just blown away by how cool the graphics were. The printing they did was like crazy, all over prints. I remember when I couldn't go into a mall, I was still young, so I would look on like Carmaloop or what was the other one? 80spurple.com, I think it was.
I just distinctly remember the product shots of Carmaloop like so well. You just like, and then also like Carmaloop was one of those sites where every homie of yours has like a weird discount code or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like you would always,
you share it on MySpace, like, yo, where'd you get this? And you just like, just keep going on that.
So Carmaloop for me, I think was like probably the first introduction of just like, because I grew up in like a very rural area, and you grew up in Los Angeles, and clearly like a lot different pace. But yeah, so the internet was mainly like how I discovered streetwear. So it was cool to see that you kind of had like more of a physical like interaction with it,
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been at the hundreds 9 years, bro. So what do you do here, man? What are your roles and responsibilities?
I do special projects for the hundreds.
So what does that mean?
I'm kind of just coordinating all the collaborations we're working on, bring new projects to Bobby and Ben, or they might have projects for us to work on, work with friends. I get to work with a lot of people that I kind of always admired and looked up to, which is kind of cool to see. I get to soak up game like a sponge on everyone on their own process. And I get to kind of like see how everyone works on putting designs together, and I'm just there to coordinate, making sure everything is clean, working with multiple people on our team and their team, just to making sure artwork is good. I like to see, like for example, last year I got to work with Joe Freshgoods. I got to see how crazy he is when it comes to designing with him.
Shout out Joe Freshgoods, shout out Chicago.
Yeah, that was a good one. We did like a couple projects last year for Complex Con in Chicago. We worked with Joe Freshgoods, Lena Waith, Casey Lynch from Bricks and Wood.
Yeah.
So like that was a memorable time for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to see how everyone's process is, and everyone works different, right? So.
And then I thought it was so funny when we were getting ready for Complex Con, just like the mentality. Oh yeah, we're dropping 3 collabs with 3 booths. Like, yeah, for sure.
There's actually 4.
4.
Yeah, leaders. You can't forget about
the leaders.
Yeah, we had an event that night too.
Okay, cool. So it was leaders, Joe Freshgoods, Lena Waith, Bricks and Wood. Complex Con,
Complex
Chicago.
Chicago.
And also like, that was like the hottest weather I've ever experienced.
Humid, so humid,
so insane.
It was tight. I like
Yeah,
it.
Complex Con was great, man.
Yeah.
So you were talking about inspirations, people that inspire you, getting to work with people you really look up to. So who were some of your inspirations that you've gotten to work with, and what are some of the favorite collabs that not only you have personally worked on, but also just like, what was a collab you saw back in the day that was like, I want to do that?
Man, one of the first collabs. Well, I never thought I'd be a collab designer, a special project designer. My goal was always to design, do something for the hundreds, specifically for the hundreds. I was in high school telling myself I was going to work for that company eventually. I got into the hundreds doing photography, econ photography as an intern. Shout out to Switch. He got me into the door. He introduced me to Ben and Bobby and the whole team.
So Switch was the photographer
at that time. He was the econ photographer.
Shout out Switch, man.
Yeah, he helped me out on that.
Look him up on Instagram. Switch with 3 eyes, something like that.
3 T's.
3 T's. Okay, so Switch got you.
So he got me
situated.
in. I started doing that. And I was doing econ photography, and eventually Bobby and Ben asked me if I can help out with headwear and accessories as a design assistant. And of course I said yes. That was my dream, to design stuff. And I always loved hats as a kid. You can see my baby pictures. I have hats on when I'm 2 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was bound to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I worked at Hat Club for a couple of years. Like, I just loved headwear. So like, that was like my bread and butter. So when I joined that design, I became officially part of the design team. And I think little by little, I kind of just kept growing within the company. And now I'm kind of just overseeing just special projects. And I get to work with our graphic designers, our cut and sew designers, Ben and Bobby, just making sure everything looks good. And it's been a good ride.
Cool. So,
and back to your question though, I'd say, I don't know, some of the collabs that I really like remember growing up was the Rooster collab, the very first one. I had no part in that, but that was
what tell us viewers what that collab was about.
It was with an artist based out of Japan. He has this very unique calligraphy for his design, and the placement of the artwork was sick. He had a very like a Virgin Mary-esque like skeleton.
Oh yeah,
like
of course.
Yeah, we have the print on the wall.
Yeah, the prints are on the wall right there.
And it was just eye-catching, and I'm just like, what is this? This is sick. They work with a bunch of other brands. They did an old G-Shock from back in the day with extra large, and I'm just like, damn, they're doing projects like this. Like, I would love to see that.
Okay.
And yeah, so I guess you asked me 5 collabs. Maybe that I've kind of worked around, seen. Lucy Girl is one of them. Bricks and Wood, like we mentioned earlier last year.
Shout out Casey Lynch, the homie.
That's
Great South Central Los Angeles brand.
We went to high school together.
Yeah.
And
what was the high school called?
Summit High School.
Summit. Okay.
Yeah. So we were based out in Fontana, like 45 minutes east, and we met because we both had the hundreds on actually. And one day we were just talking shit, and we're just like, one day I'm gonna design for them, and we're gonna work on the project together. And it literally happened. Like that happened last year, like exactly how we talked about it. So that's so iconic to me.
Wow. Okay.
Nipsey Hussle, we did that. The marathon continues like project. He did that right when his album was coming out. We did like a T-shirt, a hoodie, like a nice little pack for him. That was very memorable for me because I got to work with Nipsey and Sam at the marathon store. Mm-hmm. I showed up. It was me and 5. We pulled up to the store and we just sat there in the back room and just kind of like ideate what we're going to come up with and what we're going to design for the release. And that was cool because I got to see his process of thinking, how he treated so carefully his brand. And that was very appreciative. Another highlight was WWE.
That was definitely a highlight for me too.
Yeah, like a lot of us, people our age group remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, all these characters and all these, things that we looked up to, and like wrestling was iconic for us, right? So like I think that was another one that was like.
With the WWE collab, I remember just like resonating so hard with the Ultimate Warrior. Like the Ultimate Warrior is like kind of like my like cultural spirit animal in a way, and just like the way he would like just fucking sprint out into the crowd and just like get everybody so hyped. And also that era of wrestling, the wrestling moves aren't even like crazy. It's not even like about that. It's about like the character and the personality.
The storyline.
The storyline. So I really like how we tapped into like all of like the most iconic wrestlers that we like kind of love. Mm-hmm. And then he's cool with the Kofi Kingston shit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you came from headwear, right? So it was photography, headwear, now just like basically everything. Mm-hmm. So we have a new era pack available on Greatest Hits right now. They are all 7 5/8. 7 5/8. Pretty common fitted size. So I just want to like, go over some of these hats with you, man. And just maybe talk about like the significance of like new era hats and whatnot.
I mean, I would go honestly say, I used to be very, on a personal level, I would always say fitteds are coming back, new eras are coming back. And I've been pushing that for like the last 3 years. But like now, this time it's actually catching wind. Fitteds are coming back. There's a lot of new fitteds out in the market right now that everyone wants to tap in with, grab new colorways, new headwear. So I'm honestly saying fitteds are back.
Yeah.
And I love the energy behind it. So the fact that we're selling these 3 is pretty sick. A little bit of story behind these hats. This one right here is the Atom hat. We have like a oversized hat with like a contrast panel on the front. It's probably this hat's, I'm going to say it's from 09. These are all before my time, but I just know what we've made in the past. We made this in 3 different colorways. This is one of them. That is the second Rosewood hat ever. The original one was the blue hat with the yellow visor.
So when did this Rosewood graphic drop?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the first time it officially dropped was on this hat. I was like kind of just doing the acronyms of Rosewood Avenue, the street name of the store where we're located. Iconic hat again, leather brim with like the wool, and it's just like back then new eras were so hot, so like these were selling like just sold out in like 5 to 10 minutes,
So new eras in the 2000s, early 2010s was very similar to say a sneaker collab today, right? It was like getting your own Air Max.
Yeah.
And in a way that was like kind of like the big clothing companies and stuff. That was kind of like how they first really tapped into like what was happening in the street.
Yeah, like bigger companies were coming down to streetwear, like giving us a fitted, and it makes you feel like you're a sports team or a Dodger team because you have a fitted just like the players who are wearing them, right?
Mm-hmm.
This last hat is the Paisley. It's all embroidered actually. It's not printed on there.
Yeah, so
it's like nice detail. We've been running our Paisley for a couple of years now. We made this hat, and I think we made Ben was saying a pink hat, pink and yellow, with the Paisley on it. Again, all iconic new eras, and I think it's right on time with everything, the resurgence that's seeing on fitted again.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Paisley is like kind of like almost like the camouflage of the hundreds.
Yeah,
it's like such a staple for us. One of them, right?
For sure.
So it's such a staple for us, and it's just kind of cool to see like an older interpretation. So with that said, all of these 3 hats are being sold as a pack on the 100's Greatest Hits, size 7 5/8. Go ahead and check out the page. You can get detailed e-com shots of all of this stuff. They're in pretty good condition considering how old they are. This Rosewood one does have some wear, but again, like it's just kind of like in the character of like wanting to collect older pieces for sure. Lastly, David, which other piece did you want to talk about? Oh, I'm gonna do Mammoth, right?
Let's do the Mammoth.
Okay, cool. So when I first, so it was kind of tight. I got a job at the 100's like a little over a year ago. And it was tight. I like started this new company, and like check this. It was like the first week was First Friday, right? So fully K. So every First Friday, Ben 100's our boss loves everything food, right? So First Friday we have a new either food business, taco spot, like where something is catered in the office for everybody for lunch. So I pull up, lunch is free, you know what I mean? And then Bryce is like, by the way, next Friday we're going to Mammoth Mountain. So I was like brand new with the company and all of a sudden on a retreat. And I had never been to Mammoth, and I was just kind of also like unaware of like the snowboarding culture and whatnot. So can you just like tell us a little bit about the significance of this T-shirt being a Mammoth mascot and its connection to Mammoth in Northern California?
I mean, if you're from California, you pretty much know Mammoth as the mountain to go to when you're snowboarding. Like you're either going to Big Bear, you got Mount Summit right here, Mount High, but then Mammoth is like the ground. Like you're gonna make that drive to go up there. They do have their, I think his name is Wooly Mammoth.
Wooly. This is a Wooly T-shirt.
Yes. So Wooly is Mammoth is the mascot for Mammoth Mountain. But we ended up doing a nice flip where we kind of just turned him into a skeleton. So it's like a take on kind of like the La Brea Tar Pit.
Yeah.
Like the mammoths are like kind of, just deceased. And we kind of turned it into that. And you can continue in our story. We continue telling our story. We have a huge mammoth coming out the shop, right? So it's always
huge mammoth.
So it's always been tied with the 100. So the fact that we did this kind of hits home.
Okay.
And it's just nice to see. And if you go to Mammoth now and you kind of see the same exact graphic, but he's like fully alive still. There's no skeleton or anything like that. So that was our flip to that.
And so when we're looking over the hats, you were talking about placement. So, if we do have some designers, oh, by the way, this is for sale on the shop tab of Greatest Hits. All of this product is live shoppable. So if you see a piece you're interested in, definitely go and take a shot, go take a look at all the detailed images so you can see exactly what's going on. And if you're just joining us, we're sitting here with David Rivera, special projects head at the Hundreds.
Yo.
David. Yay! So in terms of design, what are some things, if either you're buying a product or in the process of creating, what are some things you really like to pay attention and look for? Like what hits for you?
I mean, what hits for me is fits.
Yeah, fits.
Headwear for me is like another one, for example. Like I love the way hats fit. I'm very, very particular on how they should fit. I would honestly say New Era is probably one of the best fitting hats, but I don't just wear fitteds. I wear all kind of hats. I like very into lately the unstructured hats. You can kind of see the one I'm wearing right now. There's no structure on the front. Very just just kind of fabric only and just being held together by the sewing. Same with graphics and same with t-shirts. Like I like the way our shirts fit. Fits really nice to the body. We do cut and sew, and everything is just fitted perfectly to the team. I'm big on that. Like a lot of brands tend to like have to generalize fits, and some of them just don't fit me personally. And I just like the way we do our clothing. Fits is a big thing for me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what about in terms of like color inspiration and stuff like that? Like, so a big thing of this show is these are vintage Hundreds products, right? So this is a look in the past. Like, how does vintage clothing play a role in like your design process, if it does?
I mean, it does. It's great for references because you get to learn new things that were before your time, and you get to see brands that were probably huge before you even knew about the brand, right? They're just like and once you find like the perfect worn down t-shirt, you might see some new washes, some old ways of printing products, some old embroidery like ways of doing things and that you don't see now. So it's good to kind of just recycle older things and kind of modernizing them, and I'm big on that. So that's where vintage plays in with me.
Okay, cool. So last week we sold a Mark Dean Beckett deck from the past collab, right?
Yeah.
And so that was blessed to the Greatest Hits collection by Ben Hundreds, Papa Ben. And so we were trying to think of some other stuff to like, kind of go over for Greatest Hits and put some product out. And, Ben's like excited. And so he blessed us today with the first G-Shock Hundreds watch from 2012. Now, what's really cool about this watch is this was designed with terrain and lifestyle in mind. So it is a solar powered watch, brand new. So the thing about Casio and G-Shock in general is Casio is a legacy brand. They have been at the forefront of electronic accessories basically since the dawn of it, right?
Yeah.
So what's really cool about this is a tough solar watch, which means it is solar powered.
Yeah.
Which means, so when I busted it out the package, Ben was like, "Oh yeah, you got to go put it in the sun," and I was like, hot in the sun, like waiting for it. I was like, "Oh shit, it turned on." So yeah, I just want to could you speak on just like G-Shock's significance in streetwear and whatnot?
Yeah.
By the way, this is for sale. One of one, baby. And it works. Digital vibe. Original band.
Clean.
This is classic to me. You know what I mean? This is like classic 2000s New York Yankees streetwear right here.
To me, actually, G-Shock goes back to like the Japanese culture.
Yeah.
I saw first, like I remember Nigo rocking an iced out G-Shock, and like Pharrell was big on G-Shocks, and that's when I kind of started seeing the bulky watch that was still kind of like military-esque looking, but like they of course made it shiny and new and you wanted something. So to me, G-Shock goes back to like that era, and I've always wanted like to wear one of those G-Shocks because of them. I remember I had like an old red Bape G-Shock with like gold trim on it.
Yeah,
that was just like an iconic watch to me. So like working with G-Shock has been sick. This watch right here particularly is highlighting basically the three cities where we had stores in. It's Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York.
So you can actually see that writing of all of those cities on this side band right here. You can keep talking. I'm gonna show the camera.
So yeah, you can see all 3 cities listed on there, and then on the black strap, you'll see the bar logo printed. This was actually kind of a riff off our old SE bike that we did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we did an SE bike, and it was black. It kind of faded. It was like a gradient from white to black, from front to back, and we kind of just take that design process and just made it into the watch also.
Cool. So when this released, how well did it do?
It did great. We threw one of the most iconic parties that the Hundreds has ever thrown. We had Gucci Mane. We had Gucci Mane pull up to the show.
Gucci Mane pulled up to the show.
Like peak Gucci to us.
Yeah.
Like we had it. It was lit.
Do you guys know what his ticket was to perform? Do you remember?
It was a solid number.
It was a solid number?
I know. He remember though. He asked for like for the green room. He asked for chicken wings, for Halloween, and I think some lean on that. I'm not sure if we provided the lean, but I think we for sure got the weed and wings for him. I got to eat chicken wings with him too, which is kind of sick.
What venue was it at?
It's in downtown LA. It starts with the B. Belasco.
Belasco.
I think it was at the Belasco.
Okay, Belasco Theater downtown.
Yeah.
Like
It was crazy. It was crazy.
So wait, so let me get this straight. You guys got the G-Shock, right?
Yeah,
The hard G-Shock.
Yeah.
Then the launch party was featuring Gucci Mane.
Yeah, we have photos of Gucci wearing it too. Like he came by the office, grabbed a jacket, wore it on stage. He had our sunglasses on stage too.
Okay.
It was sick. It was a good night. We had like a bunch of artists pull up.
And that was like within a year of you being at the company, right?
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was like my first years, to be honest. And I remember like that's when like Tyler and Odd Future was like blowing up, and he got on stage with him. Soulja Boy pulled up. Like it was a crazy night. That was a good memory. It was one of our best parties ever.
Yeah. That's so sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing that's really cool about the Hundreds is just like, again, like it's just like our brand mantra, just like the idea of community and just bringing people together in certain spaces through like products like this. You know what I mean? It's like a watch, but then the watch brings such a fond memory for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Casio G-Shock collectors, don't sleep on this one. If you do know about this stuff, this is definitely a very, very sought after piece. So you can go ahead and purchase now on the Hundreds Greatest Hits. Just to highlight a few other products really quick. So I thought this was a really cool story because Peter Parra is such a big artist, right? He has the Air Max 1 he did. He's got an SB. He was like kind of one of the first sort of bridging contemporary art streetwear people. And so, you know, I was talking to Bobby and he was just basically saying the design behind this t-shirt. So this is the Parra the Hundreds collab. This has a 2009 tag. And so Bobby was telling me that this was kind of just done like in a really casual manner. Like, you know, him and Peter was like, hey, I'm in town. Bobby's like, hey, pull up to the office. And like, he comes to the office and just kind of illustrates a design. And so it's like kind of a really, really natural forming collab. You know, sometimes collabs, as you know, as the special projects, the head of special projects, that when licensing and deal points and going back and forth, things can get really complicated from the initial reason why you did it. And this is kind of like a very pure example of streetwear. And so what's really cool about this is it's for sale right now as a part of the Greatest Hits collection. Oh, just wanted to inform you guys that the Blackberry T has sold. So again, if you ever are watching Hundreds Greatest Hits, this is a live stream shopping show where all of these products are available in real time. So don't sleep. If you see something that you enjoy or that you like, or you want to be part of your collection and add to your fits, definitely check out the shop tab. And then if you have any questions about anything Hundreds related, you can always ask us in the chat section. So yeah, all of these products are for sale right now. Just to go over the last stuff that we didn't hit, the bail bond tee, you know, this is like clearly inspired by the Monopoly, like when you get thrown in jail, which if you think about it, Monopoly is such like a twisted game. Yeah. Like what you're telling me I'm incarcerated? It's a board game. Like, you know, like
get out of free, get out of jail free card.
Get out of jail free card. And so this is a play on that, the Hundreds Bail Bonds Incorporated. And then of course, another one of our brand mantras since 1980, which reflects on Ben and Bobby, the year Ben and Bobby were born, and the brand is a reflection of not only Ben and Bobby's experiences, but the overall experiences of the Hundreds story. So yeah, I would like to thank our guest, David Rivera, head of special projects at the Hundreds. Basically anything you need. So if you ever want to see any of David Rivera's work, he is an amazing photographer. He's honestly helped us out in so many ways, just like coordinating lookbooks. You actually just got to travel out of state to do a bunch of really cool stuff that we're going to be releasing later in the year. So it's really cool to like really just see how, in my opinion, one thing I really admire about you is you are a 360 creative. You know what I mean? Like, not only do you actually make astounding photography, you make astounding designs. And honestly, the most important thing for an artist for me is it being a true extension of the person's soul, the person's personality. And I definitely see that with all your work.
Appreciate
so
you, man. Thank
my
you.
boy,
Thank
thanks
you.
for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's it for this week's episode of Greatest Hits. I would like to thank our guest, David, for joining. And I'd also like to thank everybody who shopped and copped a vintage piece. Now you can check us out every week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Hundreds TV and the Hundreds app or online. So the pathway, if you're trying to find the Hundreds TV, if you're going from a web browser, you hit the homepage, thehundreds.com, then you hit the TV tab. The Greatest Hits collection is right under there. You can stream this episode. And then if you're coming from the mobile app, you have to hit the side menu. Then you go to blog, and then you go to the Hundreds TV, and you can find the Greatest Hits collection. I'm Free J Boozy. I will catch you next week. Thanks, everybody. We off?